My next guest is CEO and founder of CF Management. Please welcome to the show a really incredible person, Connor Finlay. Hi, Connor.
Hey Vince, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Trying to stay alive during this like crazy moment we're living in right now.
Yeah. So, how has your transition been since COVID-19?
Yeah, man, it's been kind of obviously up and down. I think the biggest thing is a lot of our athletes were still on tour right now, uh, performing and competing in their sports that they were in. So for them, and as an agent, it's like really handling what their day to day life was, kind of saying, hey, how can we help you transition out of this? Some of them were still traveling. We had one athlete who just came off X Games bronze medal in Norway, so she was kind of traveling in the midst of that. And some of our other athletes were, actually on their way to an airport to go travel to Calgary for training camps, and we had athletes at other training camps. So it's been the beginning of it was kind of a hectic start, but it's kind of slowing down now, and kind of the email trains and talking to brand managers and see how we can adapt and work with them, and the transition of like a lot of digital work right now, which is kind of cool. Everything's playing on virtual, which is kind of cool to see all that kind of stuff. And just like working with our athletes and staying top of mind. It's not all about the partnerships and endorsements, which we as agents love to do. But it's like keeping them top of mind in their health, and how can we help them, continue to be as strong as they are on the hill or whatever sport they perform in. All the side things for that. So me as an agent, it's kind of changed drastically from day to day and how we're helping our athletes, and also just having the conversations and making sure like family and all of our contacts and people that we work with are staying healthy and top of mind for sure. So it's kind of been a crazy ride, but right now everybody's healthy, and I knock on wood for that, and thank the Lord. So
Your story is so incredible, Connor, with CF Management, and I want to ask you how did it all start, and what is your uh, role, duties, and tasks with being the CEO and founder?
yeah, thanks, man. It's great for you to say that. I appreciate that. Yeah, it started back when I was a young little buck. I always loved action sports, so growing up, I always watched the X Games and do tours and admired the Tony Hawks and played them on Nintendo and stuff like that, right? And um, I was an avid hockey player and all that kind of stuff, but more the extreme and action sports side kind of sprung on me a little bit more than everything. So when I was 14, I applied to a company called West 49, which was a huge major retail company here in Canada. And from there, I worked in the stores a bit, but made my way up to head office, helping with their e-commerce and marketing team. Oh geez, I hear my dog in the background, but hey, that's the beauty of being at home right now during this crazy time. But yeah, kind of started with West 49 and kind of transitioned my way into, finding that manager role of like athletes. So it was cool. Each West 49 store would sponsor two kids. So basically, from there, they'd give the kids an average look at what it would be like to be working or sponsored or endorsed by a corporate company. And from there, we wouldn't really pay them, but we'd kind of say, hey, this is we'll give you some publicity through magazines and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of jazz, and they get discounts and stuff like that, being the commercials, which is kind of cool. So helping with that team, kind of transitioned out of West 49 in my, I think it was second year of college. I took advertising and marketing at Mohawk College, and through there, I started CF Management. And kind of at that time, the flow team for West 49 was transitioning out, so they were kind of not having the team anymore. And I knew a few kids on the team from working with them, and said, "Hey, like, it might be a good time for you guys to see and work together and kind of get you guys some other sponsors and see how this works." But then second year of the agency, we kind of did a agency flop and transition. And I had a good friend here, just actually lives around the corner from me, Brad Martin in Ancaster, and he kind of introduced me to a lot of people in the industry, whether that be professional snowboarders or some other agents that I kind of idolized and looked up to. And he said, meet this person, talk to them. And at that time, we did an agency flop. I signed my first Olympic snowboarder, Derek Livingston. He's been with me for the whole 5 years that CF Management's been operating. And from there, yeah, we just kind of gradually grew and, working with major players now in the game, like, Mazda and Canada Snowboard and, new brands that we can, Smith and all that kind of stuff that we can look upon and work with our athletes. So it's been kind of a crazy ride, but yeah, we're in year 5 now, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of how the story kind of evolved from West 49 to opening up my own agency and kind of growing that platform. And I knew, being a young kid and growing up, I wasn't going to be able to step into that agent role, but I really knew that I had the drive and autonomy to get out there. So I kind of, started CF Management to kind of prove to them that I, really wanted to do this, and glad for some of the clients that I have today to, stick with me and work with me on these kind of things because we've been able to do some really cool things in the marketplace.
Mhm. Connor, what is your role entails? So the type of day-to-day duties, and obviously now it's a bit different because of COVID-19. But I guess could you just speak to that for viewers watching?
Good question. With CF Management and being the CEO and founder, I think my day to day is definitely kind of all over the place. Being the founder, definitely wear a lot of hats. My main role with CF Management is being an agent, manager, friend to all the athletes and clients that we work with. The day to day kind of looks like waking up in the morning, um, first thing is kind of check social media. We check what our athletes are doing, what they're posting, check the brands that they're working with, and look after that. Eat breakfast obviously, and then kind of I've been into kind of a workout kick right now, and do that for an hour, and then come back to the computer. And like I said, I wear multiple different hats. So whether that's on the phones all day working on the projects and the brands that we're working with, or that's kind of cold calling and sending out emails. I think like one of the biggest things a buddy of mine told me was like, um, you know, we'd love to receive 500 emails a day, but I think in the limelight of everything, it's we send out 500 emails a day. It's cold calling, it's reaching out. It's fun work and all that kind of stuff. And being an agent, I think the really fun part about it is making sure that we do the deals and we work on the projects with our athletes. But at the end of the day, it's there's another side to it, making sure that hopefully this never happens to anybody. But if someone's injured, we're looking out for them, making sure that they're getting the best recovery. How are they feeling? What can we do to support them off the hill? And that's a big for us. And then, that kind of comes into the day and day with my duties. Sometimes there's accounting involved, and we're looking at the books and what does our projects entail, and what are the budgets looking like for the agency. And then, for myself, just growing as an agent and as a CEO and founder, reading a lot is a big thing, and learning from the people I look up to. I have a good friend in Toronto that is a huge mentor to me. Peter Cosentino was VP of the Blue Jays for 12 years, and then he opened up his own agency working on sponsorship and consulting. And I talk to him all the time, and we go back and forth between what the world's looking like and how the marketing and sports industry is looking. And he's a big mentor for me. And then I got a friend in Seattle, Jameson Keegan, who's been another huge mentor for me. So just learning from them, and really kind of gauging what the industry has and how it's evolving and all that kind of jazz. I think for me and my day-to-day roles, that's kind of how I evolve the agency. And of course, I try to talk to all of our clients, all of our athletes, maybe not daily, but every once or twice a week. I treat the agency as a family. We're all a family here. That's a big thing for me. And I think my logo, if everybody sees our logo, it's the shield with the CF in the middle. And really, no one really knows how that kind of comes about, but I think it's a big one's a shield, and that's kind of protection. So we're here to protect and have the backs of all of our athletes, and during our day to days. And if an athlete calls at 2 p.m., we're here. If he calls at 2 a.m. or she calls at 2 a.m., we're here to answer the phone. So we're all a family, and that's kind of what the day to day looks like. And the cool thing is wearing so many hats is you never really know what the next day is going to look like, and that's kind of why I wanted to get into this industry is because I'm not such a go getter and all over the place, and I like being busy, but always having a new task. And another point, Jameson Keegan, he told me once that, and I think he's got on his business card, it's called like a janitor, like a floor sweeper. We're always kind of cleaning up, you know, different projects and making them all polished and making them look good. So that's kind of one of the biggest things that our day to day has entailed as well.
Um, Connor, sales is a central aspect in the sport industry. What is your philosophy in sales, and especially in your role with being an agent?
Yeah, sales is definitely a big one. Um, I think for me, not so much selling. I think that all comes in time and growing as a person, an individual, and with a company as well. I think a big thing for sales for me is networking, getting to know, whether it be that marketing manager, that brand manager, whoever you're kind of, talking to in time. I think the biggest thing that anybody will tell you in a sales role is trust, getting to know them first, and um, really reaching out and saying, hey, this is what we have planned for our athlete or whatever you're working on at the time. Um, we really try to make that relationship work and kind of genuine, and everybody is going to be happy with each other. There's tons of things when I grew up learning in this industry, and I'm still learning today. I'm only 27, right? So still learning every day, and kind of take that opportunity to learn, read, and look up to people that have been in this industry for so long and have mentors, which is kind of cool. And I think they've really taught me to kind of develop that relationship before you kind of go for a sales pitch. And people like yourself who are coming out of school right now, I think that's one of the biggest things is basically develop that relationship and not just do that cold call email and try to do that sale, because there's lots of people that do it out there and lots of people that are good. But I find just the way that works for me is really develop that relationship, get to know that person, and then kind of take the steps into negotiating the sale and what you can do and how that brand actually looks at your athletes, and how your brand can help that. How your athlete can help that brand kind of develop and grow at the same time as well.
Connor, during this, I guess, difficult time, what are some strategies on how you're networking with, other agents or athletes or um, partners?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing during this time, and I think we say, right now, um, everybody's going digital. So like you and I right now, we can't be in the same room doing this, right? So it's definitely a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of happy hours, but that's above the point. But no, I think it's really reaching out and seeing how everybody's doing. It's definitely a difficult time for a lot of brands and a lot of marketing managers to kind of say, hey, what are you guys doing with your budgets right now and stuff like that. But really, right now, it's really just making sure that everybody's, staying top of mind and that everybody's feeling like they're, kind of being looked after. I think relationships are everything right now, and kind of talking, going through, I've had more phone calls just seeing how friends are that we work with, and how they're doing, athletes as well. And not so much the whole business talk right now, just because everybody's kind of on toes and seeing what tomorrow's going to bring. And the next day, I think like I said earlier, we're all planning and kind of gearing for what the next kind of year and a bit's going to look like for athletes and brands, and how can we develop to kind of create new ideas and stuff like that. But I think to stay top of mind is just really networking, kind of reaching out and saying, hey, how you doing? Can I grab 10 minutes of your time to like just kind of see what your brand's doing, or how you're doing, in fact, because you never know what's kind of going on with them, right? So I think everybody with the situation that's going on right now throughout the globe and the world, everybody's dealing with it differently, so taking it day by day and a quick different conversation each day, right? You're not kind of reaching out being the same kind of person. It's definitely hearing everybody out in their situation and kind of going from there. So
Makes sense. I find myself on LinkedIn a lot recently with just looking at you know, what my network is doing and what others are doing, and
but yeah, you make a good point there, and it's like I think a lot of people are going digital in the virtual world. like I said, doing Zoom calls like these, but I think everybody's kind of looking for that new kind of, tactic to kind of come upon. You can see it's really cool in the sporting world. Everybody's turning to esports and all that kind of stuff with, you're seeing hockey players play NHL against each other, and they're going on Twitch and they're getting like millions of streams and stuff like that, right? I don't know if you just saw the newest thing that just came out, but in the entertainment world, our agency, we step into it a little bit. We represent a DJ as well, who's done Red Bull Freestyle, which is kind of cool. He's the Hamilton Ticats official DJ too, so which is kind of cool. So we've done some really cool events with him with Red Bull and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, to talk about the entertainment world, Travis Scott just released a new song and he's doing like a 3-day concert series on Fortnite right now, which I think is so interesting and really cool. I don't know if you're a Fortnite player. I'm not myself, but uh, I'll play the sports games, but I haven't really gotten into Fortnite. But I might. I might. Nothing against it. But yeah, Marshmello did this a few years ago with Fortnite. And he dropped a new song and did a concert, and like millions and millions of people tuned in, which was really cool to see. And yeah, I think like that's a new thing in the network that a lot of people have kind of turned to. Another thing, like I told you earlier, I did a virtual conference today. A lot of us were supposed to be in Vegas right now at this conference for the NFL draft, and it kind of turned to a virtual conference, which was kind of cool to see. Yesterday, we had conversations about all the partnership and marketing managers were on it from. I think they had the Minnesota Vikings, um, the Jets, Buffalo Bills, a few others as well. They were on the conference line talking about how they've transitioned everything that they were going to do in Vegas for the NFL draft to now virtual. So they were having like virtual happy hours sponsored by like Bud Light and stuff like that, which was really cool to see. And I think networks have really changed their way in thinking of what's this next kind of year and a half going to look like for everything going on right now. We're just kind of crazy to think about, but I think it's the new normal, which is going to be kind of cool.
You bring up a good point, Connor, and I've noticed like the NFL draft is going virtual, and it looks like potentially the NHL draft might go virtual. So a lot of these major professional sport organizations are also doing this as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's cool. I sat down and watched it last night. I haven't really tuned into it. I've watched the drafts with some buddies the past couple of years. Haven't really paid that much attention to them. Um, but yeah, I think it's cool, and I think the NFL did a really good job in kind of transforming that and kind of being able to have cameras on everybody, including fans, which was even cool to see. There'd be tons of fans at each one of these drafts, um, and to see all the GMs and all the VPs of player operations in their houses, and you could see some of their kids in the background high fiving when they made the calls of who they were choosing, and the families as well for each athlete that was chosen in the draft last night, including today. I think it's going on again tonight, but just to have the cameras and the technology to be like, hey, we're gonna, you're gonna be live when we think your name's gonna be called, right? Which is going to be cool. So I thought that was, technology is kind of, we've said this for a few years. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing, it's taking over the world, and now is a time that it's really proving to be, a point. I don't think, look back 10 years ago. I don't know if we'd even be able to do this. We probably would be, but probably the cameras wouldn't be this clear, and it wouldn't be able to record it and post it later, right? So I think technology is really taking really showing us how we can work in today's society and how it's really impacted this whole COVID-19 thing.
That's great insight. So you mentioned at the top of the show about brands. With CF management, what's the significant impact of brand partnerships and the relationship between your organization, athletes, and partnership brands?
Yeah, it's cool. I think every brand that we've worked with or we currently work with is we always look towards how we can benefit the athlete, how the athlete can benefit the brand, and how that all kind of intertwines and works together. We've had some really good partnerships. We've actually, just agreed upon a new partnership for one of our athletes, which is going to be really cool. We can't announce it yet, but it's going to be it's going to be a game changer for her, and it's really exciting um, being developed right now. She's heavily involved in it. We're super excited for it, and I think it's definitely a new one. It's a new kind of brand that's stepping into something. So, as much as we can work with them and they can work with the athlete, everything's kind of evolving, which is kind of cool. So, that's going to be a really exciting one. But yeah, we've worked with other brands like Mazda. Right before everything kind of hit, we did a small commercial with Mazda with one of our athletes, and it was cool to see that and how that kind of was developed before snow even hit the ground, and it was all about snow and biking and stuff like that, which was kind of cool. But also, yeah, I think back to your question, it's every brand that we work with, we make sure that we can benefit them and somehow they can benefit the athlete, and we all come to an agreement on what's that going to look like um, before anything is kind of put to paper. It's like let's develop a good strategy that is going to help everyone in the long run and develop some cool projects with them. So that's kind of where we're at with brand partnerships and entertainment and stuff like that.
Mhm. Awesome. On a light note, to kind of conclude this, what is your most memorable experience thus far in the sport industry?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think I think it was taking that step to start CF management. I always wanted to do it. I thought it was going to be a cool um, opportunity. And when you do something like this, you feel challenged, and you feel that at the beginning, to be transparent, it was a little bit of a side hustle. And then I, quickly figured out that this is no side hustle. This is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life, who I want to be working with, the athletes, and like I mentioned, like Derek Livingston, who's been with us for 5 years, 4 years now, and to have athletes like him, he's going to his their Olympics, fingers crossed in 2022. So to work with them and be able to work with athletes and see their accomplishments. For a person like me, I don't typically, sit in front of a camera. It's mostly the athletes and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of my stuff is behind the scenes that we do for the athletes. And so at the end of the day, if I can see a smile on their face, it puts a smile back on my face because I know that I've been able to help them and achieve their career and what they want to do. But these last 2 years have been, super good highlight for us. We've seen, Derek got his first two World Cup podiums in the last 2 seasons. Liam Brayley, who's 17, on the next gen team for Canada Snowboard right now. He's a huge up and comer. Won 3 medals at the Youth Olympics this past winter, and has also got his first World Cup podium in Calgary on Canadian soil, which was amazing. And then also seeing, Brooke Voigt, she just got an X Games medal in Norway, bronze medal. So, to have an X Games medal under our belt for CF management is another huge one, because that's like the next greatest thing for an action sports athlete other than the Olympics, and to win a medal there. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, all of our other athletes, just seeing the accomplishments that they can bring in, and to see the smiles on their faces at the bottom of the runs and all that kind of stuff. We have an athlete that performs in Cirque du Soleil as well. We work with them, and he's a BMX rider from Montreal. So seeing his shows, I've been able to, work on some deals with him and travel with them. And I've seen the show 7 times now that he's been there. So to see him on stage and like doing something that he loves and with his friends that he can kind of hang out with, it's like amazing. So I think at the end of the day, if we can do stuff that helps our athletes and they can have smiles on their faces, and behind the scenes I can smile on my face and say, hey, super glad you guys got your accomplishments at the end of the day, then that's kind of what makes me happy at the end of the day.
Oh, awesome. Well, as you know, we've talked a lot, but uh, the reason why I wanted to do this show is to get insight from people like you behind the scenes because we know the athletes. Uh, maybe perspectives, and we see him on camera, but we never see like behind the scenes. So that's why I really wanted to start interviewing like sport industry professionals, because we don't see the behind the scenes unless it's at conferences, and there's no one place to go. And I hope this is it.
Totally, man. Yeah, and I give you full credit to doing this. Like I said earlier, one of the things that's definitely helped me in my career is networking. And I'll tell anybody any day to network, 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 reach out, have informational coffees. Like I still do. And I still get back to, anybody that asks to have one with me. If like yourself, like we had phone calls, I don't know, a few months ago, right? And when we first met and got introduced, and I did that when I was coming out of college, and even when I was in college, and it's helped me get, to where I am today. I still have a long career path that I want to go on, and I think we're only going up from here. But networking, having those conversations, and just not asking for anything in those informational coffees or sit downs or phone calls, but just gaining insight and how they've kind of generated their career and got to where they are. I find myself fascinating, and I love hearing stories like that. And like I said, I still learn and read books and all that kind of stuff. So, the biographies and learning about what other people have done, you can learn a lot of lessons from it, good or bad, right? So that's like one of the biggest things that I take away is networking, which is huge.
The amount of informational coffee sessions that I've had in 2 years, it's been a lot. I'm really grateful for it. But the reason why I think I I'm learning so much is because through these coffees, just learning about other people's experiences, or even when people tell you their mistakes, you're actually learning based on their mistakes, which maybe is not uh, totally correct to say, but
Totally. And that's the thing, right? And you never know, like, some of the people that you go to school with, now that I go to school with, you know, they started out as junior art directors, now they're art directors, and now they're senior directors. And that's the cool thing to see that, like, you'll go through your program and you never know where people will land. And at the end of the day, if you're in my position and you have a friend that's like a brand manager at Nike or, the big ones out there, you know them already, right? So it's like always have those conversations and talking to coordinators at marketing place at brands and agencies because they're only going to go up from there and develop the skills, right? So those conversations and networking keys can only last, you know, to make you know good relationships at the end of the day, right?
right. Someone that I know really well told me that um, students and alumni are your network, which is, of all the quotes I've heard in 4 years just being at university, that's the one quote that I just always think of. Yeah, I just because I find it just so true.
Oh, of course, man. That's the cool thing about it, and there's lots of friends that I've gone to and talked to that I went to school with, even alumni. I always try to, stay connected to teachers at Mohawk and internships that I did. We were talking about one earlier, actually. Funny enough, I had a Andrew Singleton who owns Eventsing, an event company. The one of your other friends is working there now, and it's cool because yeah, I had a coffee with Andrew, you know, 2 months ago before everything happened, right? So, keeping those connections, you never know when you're going to be able to, work with them or call upon them for something that you might need, or they might call upon you for something that they need, right? Just that whole networking connection thing is, that simple text message to say, "Hey, how you doing?" can go a long way for sure.
Fully agree. Connor, I want to thank you so much for doing this. Great hearing your story and insights to the industry. Um, you know how much I admire you, and I love the work that you're doing with CF Management. And you can follow CF Management on Instagram, which I highly encourage, because it's a great platform to look at what's happening with your company. So the last word is yours, Connor, and I just want to thank you again for this.
Hey man, no problem. I just want to thank you for having me on here and hope everybody out there is staying safe and healthy right now. And we're going to get through this. And like I said earlier, I'm a positive person. I think we're going to come out of it stronger than ever. So let the games begin.